Hey, Jake, solve this problem for me.
I was handed a paper with Fermat's last theorem on it, a problem that puzzled mathematicians for over 300 years. I was understandably stunned. What?
You can't solve it, right? Of course, there's no way a high school graduate could solve this problem. Therefore, I'm thinking we'll have to pass on hiring you.
The condescension in those words ignited anger in me for the first time in a while. Why would he do something like this?
Well, our company isn't exactly in a position to be lenient, so anyone not better than me is out of the question. It's a shame, especially since an old classmate came in for the interview.
What a lie. He probably can't solve Fermat's last theorem either. And certainly not with just a single sheet of paper. Despite my inner complaints, the situation remained unchanged. This guy didn't want me in his company, and knowing I was disliked from the start, I wouldn't want to join anyway. I can't solve it. I'm sorry for my lack of ability, I said, swallowing various emotions.
What a shame!
The vice president, Mike, my former classmate, said mockingly. As I left the building, the cold wind hit me sharply. Feeling the pain in my ears from the cold, I started walking with an involuntary hunch. It was a disheartening feeling.
Looking for a job?
Yay! When I consulted my friend, Chris, he gave me a strange look. Is it so weird that I want to find a job?
How long has it been since your last job?
Well, I've never actually worked at a company before.
Oh, right.
My first job hunt.
That phrase doesn't quite suit you, man.
Why not? Don't be mean. Despite being a bit sulky, I needed to find a job. The interviews went as poorly as my friend expected. Given my age, there weren't many job openings to begin with. However, there was one company that felt promising until I advanced to the second interview and found Mike there. Mike and I went to the same high school, and back then, he seemed like a quiet guy, but now he's a vice president, taking a pretty condescending attitude towards me, a former classmate. It was unusual for an interview to be one-on-one at this stage. Then he brought up Fermat's last theorem, which was obviously insolvable for me. Still, dwelling on it wouldn't help. I decided to move on and apply to other companies. Though I was initially upset, the experience quickly faded as I continued my job search. Eventually, I did find a job. The CEO liked my background, so now I work as a regular employee in the planning department, brainstorming ideas with my colleagues. It's been both challenging and fun. Then one day, when I came home, there was someone standing in front of my house. As I approached, wondering who it could be, I recognized the figure as a former classmate. It was Mike, the vice president of the company, that had given me such an impossible task before. He noticed me and said,
You've done something unbelievable.
"What?"
I'm sorry, it was revenge for last time, right? I apologize, and you can even come work at our company if you want. Just please don't take away our clients.
Huh? I couldn't grasp the situation, but arguing on the doorstep wasn't an option. In the end, I had to invite Mike inside. As we talked, It turned out my current company was a rival of Mike's.
Our clients have been slowly switching to your company, and after some digging, I thought it was your revenge for last time.
I had no idea what he was talking about. I was just doing my job as I was told. My real job is as a content creator, proud of making interesting things. It was around the holiday season of our senior year when my mom suffered a stroke. My dad and I were at a loss. Mom used to take care of everything at home, but when she came back from the hospital, she was left with tremors and couldn't do things on her own. When I decided not to go to college and pay back my family, it was a naive sense of justice. After graduating from high school, it didn't take long before I was overwhelmed. For an 18-year-old, days filled with caregiving were nothing but tedious. Saying I didn't have time to attend a full-time high school isn't quite right. I was getting more frustrated. But then radio became my solace. I started sending emails to various radio shows, becoming what you might call a fan contributor. I'll never forget the thrill of hearing my submission read on air for the first time. Looking back, those submissions were probably not well thought out or particularly funny, but being acknowledged and making the hosts laugh was unforgettable. So, I kept listening and submitting to various shows. I couldn't get out much, but thinking up submissions and making people laugh was genuinely fulfilling. Eventually, it became my passion. One day, I got a reply.
Would you like to join our radio as an assistant?
It was from a content creator of the show. Time has passed since then. All of us who graduated together were about to become college students. I was scared for my life. I wondered how someone with nothing but a high school diploma could make it in society. So, I jumped at the email. The content creator understood my situation, and we managed to meet while my dad was home. Going to the production company was nerve-wracking. My heart was racing, and my hands were sweaty. At 18, I was an oddity, so they took me on as a part-timer. It was an incredible experience. I met celebrities, directors, and writers, but most importantly, I found value in creating content that made a lot of people laugh. It was a simple joy, but it meant everything to me. Back in high school, I had my share of laughs with friends, but now, I'm mostly cooped up at home, taking care of my mom. I loved both my dad and mom dearly, and it wasn't that I minded. But the anxiety almost crushed me. That's why, being able to engage with society like this truly made me happy. I think my mom passed away when I was 22. I'm truly grateful for all the years she fought to live with her paralysis. Speaking was difficult for her, and we often had to communicate through writing. But she always expressed her gratitude, which really made me happy. I considered getting a job at that time, but I enjoyed working as a radio assistant so much that I started getting involved in content creation elsewhere. Eventually, I began freelancing, contributing. I gave ideas to various channels. Some were edgy, others were heartwarming. Time flew by as I worked on these projects. The thought of getting a job crossed my mind because I wanted to start my own company someday. Having worked since I was 18, I realized I had many juniors who looked up to me. Even someone like me could inspire others to create content that encouraged, motivated, and made people laugh. But the broadcasting industry was already shrinking, and jobs were scarce. The era was shifting towards the internet, but such companies were still few. That's why I wanted to start a company for these juniors. Then it hit me. I realized I didn't know much about running a company, so I decided to get a job. If I didn't know, I could learn. It was as simple as that. Still, starting something new from scratch was daunting, so I applied to various media companies. One of them was Mike's production company. However, after being treated poorly, I declined and ended up at my current company. The content I created was doing well, attracting requests from various sources, and I was able to monetize it reliably. Working as a content creator on the side was beneficial, creating a great cycle between my two jobs. So, it wasn't revenge, I said, to which Mike hung his head.
You've always been looking far ahead.
He said, but I just tilted my head, not understanding.
You've always been like this since high school. Always composed, strong, even with what happened to your parents. I've always been envious of you. When I saw your name in the second interview list, I thought seeing you brought low would somehow be satisfying.
You've got a twisted personality.
You've always been blunt.
Mike continued with a bitter smile.
But you were incredible. Without any formal education, you've created so much interesting content. I heard we were losing clients and wondered where they were going. Only to find out they went to you. I'm completely defeated.
He laughed self-deprecatingly. But I didn't see it that way. I'm not the amazing one. I haven't done anything significant. I truly believe in the work we do, creating content that moves people, making them cry or laugh. That's what we're all about. So, stop with the petty thoughts.
Betty?
Yay, fighting over clients, trying to beat the competition. It's better to focus on creating something interesting. Think about what makes people happy. Wasting time on petty squabbles is a loss. Your company has a good reputation, solid content. Just throw out more ideas and have fun with it. We have so little time to do what we can while we're alive. Sure, I get jealous, wishing there was no one better than me. But pulling others down doesn't entertain anyone. I consider myself a creator, as odd as it may seem. That's why, in the end, I want to take the number of people who've enjoyed my work to God, hoping for a bit of leniency in my presentation. Mike burst out laughing.
You're planning to pitch to God?
Yeah, I couldn't live a spotless life, so I'm hoping that might lighten my punishment.
I lose. You're right. I got too caught up in office politics and sales. You're different. You think about the people receiving your work. No wonder I couldn't beat you.
It's not about winning or losing. Numbers come last. Sure, we're rivals now, but we're in the same industry. Let's lift it up together.
I'm really feeling the difference in our stature right now.
Mike said with a laugh. His face was as unpretentious and warm as it was back in high school. After Mike left, I stared at two side-by-side photos. It's been a year since my dad passed away. Maybe pitching to God was a bit off. The pictures of my mom and dad look almost the same age as I am now. Both of their funeral photos are young and flattering, just like my parents to choose those. But I want to see them again, so I guess I really have to do a good job. I smile at the two in the photo. My life isn't eternal either. But that's exactly why I want to live without regrets until the last moment. I'll fulfill this life they gave me, this life to its fullest. Feeling as if called, I looked outside the window to see the plum buds swelling